so happy to be here.
I'm so happy to have you.
I know.
Totally psyched.
Me too.
And
I'm
the whole
amped.
Marialice thing is just really working for me.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Those Marys.
So those Marys. So so let's get right on to the digital learning and innovation. Well, first of all, tell us what about your institute? What are you doing there?
I come to you today as an educator,
Yeah.
a middle school educator.
Cool.
I started my career in 1993, and I've been a middle school teacher, middle school principal. I went and then did my doctoral work in middle level education at Boston College. Go Eagles! and then I went into a school of education. I was an associate professor for 10 years. I had just been promoted to with tenure, and usually when that happens, you don't leave. But you know, I'm a Marialice. I'm a Mary. You know, and double names. And I don't know. I had taken middle level education and ed tech as far as I could. I'd made as much change as I possibly could on my campus and in Connecticut, in different schools, local schools. And it was time that I felt like I had a civic responsibility, that I needed to do more. And so I've started this Digital Citizenship Institute, and it's really looking at how to use social media for social good. And it's really, when I looked at like the first speaker about talking about, you know, competent citizens, this is the solution. And, you know, I see that there are so many problems in social media, and how can we help students be able to solve them at a local level, a global level, and a digital level, which just brings me to this whole Pokemon Go craze.
I'm dying to hear. Yeah.
Okay. Did anybody fall in love with the whole phenomenon this summer, trying to catch
I gotta say,
Pikachu?
I let my kids show me how
all right,
it is.
all right. So
I'm
we
glad
had
to hear
some.
there's
We have some
experiential-
enthusiasts.
Experiential learners here. Good.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
good.
I love it.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah. Not surprised.
So as this like craze was happening around the world, you know, I'm always interested. I'm here today really with this sole interest on digital citizenship, and Pokemon Go just happens to be the vehicle. It could be any games in education. It could be whatever it might be. I really wanted to look at it from digital citizenship and how to amplify student voice, and how can we help our students, you know, harness being safe, savvy, and ethical, both on and offline. And so I got caught up in the whole craze, and I reached out to a colleague in Scotland, Glasgow, Scotland, that I've collaborated with before, William Jenkins. And I said, what do you think? Let's like pitch an idea. So we pitch an idea on social media. Anybody interested in crowdsourcing? We crowdsourced over 400 articles and posts on Pokemon Go. Before just the enthusiasts took over, or before the naysayers, we wanted like a whole, you know, big broad spectrum of really what is Pokemon, what's up with this craze. And we got over 100 global educators to crowdsource this report. So we use this platform. Has anybody used the platform Declara? It's like this radical collaboration. And the CEO of Declara is Ramona Pearson, who's been invited to the White House, and President Obama, you know, really commended her on this radical collaboration and her platform. So we use this platform Declara, and we were really examining from the whole spectrum of what people were saying about Pokemon Go, and we created a 154-page report, crowdsourced. And so that, to me, really speaks volumes about using social media for social good. And we were able to really embed the elements of digital citizenship, about being safe, savvy, and ethical, right through this game. And so to me, I don't even know. I got to go back to my students, right? I don't even really know how to play the game. Someone asked me, am I going to be talking about the game? No, but I can tell you at the time, this summer, my son was 9. He taught me. And that really talks about why we need to, like, what I'm trying to do as a mother and son with my son is model how digital learning is something that we can do shoulder to shoulder. And to take that and then apply it into the classroom as well. But I feel like parents really need to be part of this conversation.
I totally agree. I think a lot of times it seems to me in society we say parents are not doing this or not doing that. It'd be great if we could invite them in to help solve.
Absolutely.
Right? In any ways we can. So can we, hearing about the crowdsourced report, can we share a few insights about that? And then I'd like to invite anybody to ask a question or two. But what are some of the things that you learned through that?
Well, I feel like, if anything, the number one takeaway is the sense of community that this game, and whether it's going to be AR or VR or games in education, is the sense of community and people getting outside, and it's multi-generational. And so, this is where, whether it's parents or teachers, students or teachers, teachers or teachers, we come together as a community and we're learning together, and we're outside and we're promoting this really positive, healthy well-being. I can tell you on the flip side, it was that let kids be kids. Don't let this craze come into the classroom. And so again, I come here today thinking about digital citizenship and how you apply it. And that there should be a space where students just get to have their world in their world. And so I feel like, as educators, we need to be really mindful of that balance as we, perhaps want to take on this, whatever the flavor of the week is going to be, into our classroom. So, from both aspects, it hits all spectrums. And the report really speaks about the full spectrum. Rather than trying to take, one angle. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Well, it's certainly multifaceted.
Absolutely.
Set of issues.
And this is just the beginning. We're at the tip of the iceberg, and there's who knows what the next phase is going to be. But it was incredible. Most of these people I have never met. We put together a proposal to present at ISTE, which is the International Society for Technology and Education. We put together the report, and we don't know each other. It was all virtual. We put together the proposal. If it's accepted, this will be the first time I'm presenting with these people. And this is the part where, so I am a big proponent of social media and Twitter and my professional learning network. I usually work with people that are interested. My network is they're interested in digital citizenship. But we attracted networks from the mobile learning, from the games and simulation, from teacher education. And that's the part where I'm like, this is really powerful, that something like Pokemon Go has, instead of working in silos, has merged silos. That's, I guess, my biggest takeaway.
Who here uses Twitter? Whoa.
I tweeted out, just so you know, and I tweeted as my son. My son's very upset that he...
You tweeted?
I did. The beautiful part was he got involved in this report, and he made the 9 Pokeballs of digital citizenship. So he took the 9 elements. You'll see it. I've tagged our STEM Summit and STEM education. But then an educator from Mexico said, would he be interested in making a Spanish version? And so he made a Spanish version as well. But, he would have very much liked to have joined me today. And he's got a little entrepreneurial spirit, DigCit Kids, which is digital citizenship for kids, by kids. He is now. And so it's these challenges to get students more actively involved in social media for social good. And so
I had a thought about Pokemon Go, which is a very ignorant one, I think, and my kids laughed at me. I said, Pokemon Go, you kids are totally obsessed with this. You're catching things in the fields all over the place. They would tell me of different creatures that were hovering somewhere nearby. They had to go walk over there. I said, why couldn't somebody like me make a Pokemon Go for science? Could that work?
Oh, absolutely.
They laughed in my face.
I love that. I mean, it shows you the possibilities are endless. And then, whether it's for that community, we're getting into libraries more, we're getting into museums, that whole, everybody wants to go to that Pokestop and...
Yeah, but I think I want to just touch on, just for another minute, on something you said before. There are limits to this, and we've talked a lot about play. We just took a surprise fun break, things like that. So can you speak to, obviously you bring people together, but what about the limits?
Okay, so there's security issues, there's privacy issues. All of that is very real, and I'm sure you got caught up in the news where people were falling off cliffs, and there was that. And I feel like for digital citizenship, if anybody is talking to kids, they're talking about what not to do. And so, Jennifer, I want to ask you, that's the story. Don't do this and avoid that and that app. That's red alert app. That's just bad. And what the Digital Citizenship Institute, what we're trying to do is focus in on the positive to encourage. So even though there are those negatives and those pitfalls, how do we work and learn alongside each other to really, again, social media for social good? And this particular report was, on Pokemon Go, but we could apply it to anything.
Hi, Joy Reidenberg from Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai. I teach anatomy to medical students. So my question is, do you have suggestions for how we can incorporate that kind of teaching in a more formal classroom setting where they can be doing some kind of collaborative work? I mean, that's one of the things about Pokemon that's really kind of fun, is there are these places where you can collaborate with other people, the gyms, so to speak. They tend to be public areas. But, you know, how can we do this in the classroom as opposed to outside?
I can tell you, I'm very proud of this, too. I can get a hashtag to trends like no other. So for the last 10 years while I was teaching teachers in a school of education, I had a course hashtag. And, you know, if there was a snowstorm and the college was closed, we held class on Twitter. And but and I've spoken to a few people. I used to teach, one of my favorite courses was an elementary science course, and my graduate students and my undergrads would go out for local field experiences, and then they weren't seeing science being taught. And I was like, okay, this is like a disaster, because if you're not seeing it taught, what is the motivation to actually teach it? And so I went out through my PLN, which is my professional learning network, on Twitter, and I got virtual mentors, which I ended up tagging as iMentors. And so it was that collaborative approach to learning and for teacher preparation. I mean, these are teachers learning to be teachers, but they've got this virtual aspect. So to answer your question, I feel like that course hashtag, but also making connections, and the connections could happen just right here. We don't even have to go global. We could start right here. And who's teaching this, and who would like to collaborate? And the last one of the speakers I told about, where are you? For the science, there's a great hashtag out there, SCISTU, chat, and it's connecting scientists and students so that you have this authentic way to learn with a scientist as students, and that you can then see how science is actually applied. So I feel like the possibilities are absolutely endless. And I could, like, everybody's going to go to lunch. I could talk on and on. Underwater, I could actually talk about this. All right, thank you so much.
Thanks
and this
so
was
much.
a great risk.
This is really great.
I'm hugging you. I'm hugging you.